All right. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the special edition of the On Air Advocate. Where at the On Air Advocate, we look to provide education, support, and empowerment for all of those with different abilities, mental and medical illnesses, and their caregivers. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Tammy Flynn, and I am the host and producer of the On Air Advocate. And I'm super excited if you are joining us on this warm, sunny Wisconsin afternoon, or if you are catching it on the replay. So today, I am excited to have Brian Canright. He is the Director of Student Recruitment and Placement over at Shepherd's College. Shepherd's College is an amazing educational facility and college that we have here in the state of Wisconsin that caters to those with intellectual disabilities. And so I can't wait for Brian to tell you guys some more. So welcome, Brian.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, we're excited to share a little bit about the opportunities that we provide, really for students all over the country, but located here in southeastern Wisconsin in Union Grove. And we were started in 2008, began very small with a group of 5 students, and now this last year we opened up campus with 17 students from 18 states and 1 foreign country.
18 states?
Yes, yeah, from coast to coast, from California all the way to Connecticut. About a third of our students come from Wisconsin, a third from Illinois, and a third from all those other states represented.
Wow. Now, what is the age grouping and the grouping of young adults that you serve?
Yeah, so we serve students who are have finished their secondary education, so education. As long as they turn 18 by August 30th of their first year attending here, they're eligible to attend. And then currently we don't have an upper cap on the age limit. Right now we have students from 18 into their mid-30s range. But I would say the student norm is probably 21, 22, 23 years of age. We have students that come right after high school. We have students that complete transition programming or do a portion of transition programming and then enroll. And then we have those students who we don't want to penalize because, this opportunity didn't exist when they graduated from high school, or they didn't become aware of us until they were, let's say, in their mid-20s, at which point when they find out about us, then they apply and enroll.
Okay. So that's where some of the kids are like 28 years old or 27 and first enrolling in the school.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. And how is the school set up? I know that obviously we've chatted before. My son came out to see the facility as well, but you guys kind of go from housing, or it's the dormitory, then the housing, then the apartments, or how does that situation work? And kids actually, or I should say young adults, they actually stay on the premises.
Correct. Yeah, I would say, given that we have students from all those states, most of the families, never thought about college as an option, especially residential college out of state. So we had to really build a unique residential program to accommodate and serve the needs of our student demographic. So it starts with the dorms, which is a very supported and structured environment with a low staff to student ratio that allows us to train students on a very individualized basis in those areas of daily living and social skill development that they need to increase their independent living skills. So they start in the dorms, which prepares them for the second phase of on-campus living, which is the houses. And then the houses, they assume more responsibility relative to all those, sort of independent living and daily skill that they need to learn. And then that in turn prepares them for the apartments, which we have on campus. Now we're a 3-year program, so it tracks nicely to, be in each environment for 1 year and make that progression, but it also individualized. So depending on the need of support a student may have, they may need more time in the dorms or in the houses prior to moving to the apartments. And then there are some students that just the level of supportive need they may have may require that they never advance beyond the houses or potentially even the dorms, depending on the scenario. But so that's a real distinctive of our program, that 3-phase residential process.
Okay. Now, can students stay there longer than the 3 years if they're into the housing, or is it usually once they're done with their degree, then it's time for them to move on?
Yeah, once they finish, it's time to move on. But we do have a department within our organization that does provide individualized sets of supports to students who choose to remain in our community after graduating.
Okay.
What we've noticed is over the years, a lot of times the students would claim that they've experienced the 3 best years of their life. They've made connections and they built a social network beyond anything they had previously. They've gained job experiences in our local community, occupational training programs, and sometimes that leads to a job offer or opportunity. So those things kind of align to create a real attractive incentive to remain a part of our larger community through this program in the community that provides individualized supports. But these, again, are different than current students in that they're living in apartments independently, but then they contract with us for ongoing supportive services that may be temporary or they may be long-term depending on the need of the individual.
Okay. And what is that process for a lot of us, obviously, in the different abilities community when we're searching for stuff for our kids? A lot of the programming that we go into, there's lots of layers of, I guess I'd say, touches, like where you need to first do the application, then it's the child has to come and see, then the child has to stay over to see if your accommodations can meet their needs. And so how does that process work?
Yeah, I usually encourage families, first of all, especially Southeastern or Wisconsin families, to maybe start with a tour or to start by coming for like a preview day or an open house, just to kind of get a real sense of what our campus is like, who our students are, who our faculty are. And then based on that visit to, if they decide they want to continue to further or the admissions process, then we have a variety of ways we engage after that. But to start with that when you can. Now, if it's a family that's coming from out of state and they need everything done, within one visit, we're able to accommodate that as well. But it would include an overnight visit that all students have to complete.
Okay.
A minimum of 2 nights. So typically they arrive Mondays or Wednesdays and they stay 2 nights. They sit in on classes. They stay in the dorms. We do some observations and assessments to make sure that we're a good fit for the student. And then the student also, it's their chance to evaluate our program. Is this the kind of post-secondary educational opportunity that they're looking for? So that's the first part of the application. The second part is the paperwork, which is the application itself, references, IEPs, psych evals, high school transcripts, and the like. So once somebody has completed the overnight visit successfully and submitted all that documentation, it goes into review by our staff. And assuming everything goes smoothly, then a determination is made as to their acceptance, and then they have the opportunity to enroll.
Okay. Now, also, I guess I'd say, as you probably already know, for so many of us that are searching for those opportunities after the age of, 18 and 21 years of age, a lot of times that comes along with a heavier tuition cost, and there isn't, we talk about calibers of facilities like yours in the United States, there's very few. So, for the public that's watching this, you know what I'm saying? It's not like there's this huge pool to choose from, and the accommodations that need to be met and the needs of these kids are so high that they come with a higher cost. And so I know me and you had a lengthy conversation about that I'd like you to kind of share, because I think what's really awesome about Shepherd's College is the new accreditations and whatnot that you're getting to hopefully add some more support and funding for families so their kids have the opportunity to attend a school like this. Yeah.
So I should mention that accreditation, since you referenced it before I kind of segue into the financial piece, but we are accredited as a non-degree granting certificate program in culinary arts, horticulture, and technology fields, which that accreditation is what opens up some of these funding sources I'll get into in a moment, but I wanted to be sure to hit what those trades are that we provide training for students in. So I'll speak kind of generally regarding the components that most students have as it relates to financial aid. And when you, on the surface, the number that covers the tuition and fees, room and board and all that, it is high. But when you look at the amount of staffing and structure that do a program like ours to provide the supports that are necessary and the ratios, it's really as good as a deal as I've been able to find looking nationwide at programs that provide as holistic life training as we do. So the total cost for this upcoming year is going to be $44,100. Again, that covers student services, tuition and fees, room and board. There's a couple of fees outside of that, ranging in the low $200 to $300s for technology fees and such, but which covers the cost of everything. And the way that our students pay for it, all of our students do currently receive SSI or supplemental security income or SSDI. And, on average, that's probably somewhere between $700 to $800 a month that they get. That goes to them. So it's not a funding source for us necessarily, but it's funds they can use to cover some of the costs.
Those to go towards their tuition.
Exactly. Yep. So I always remind people about that because that's kind of a built-in scholarship almost that traditional college students don't have to attend, a private post-secondary or public.
Right.
The second piece is the federal student aid. And again, this is, so far as we know, we're the only program of our kind for this student demographic that's fully accredited in this way. Opens up the federal student aid to students who do have what are considered to be regular diplomas. Now, different states and districts apply that differently as we've seen in our students. But for example, Illinois, all the students exiting the programs there get diplomas. In Wisconsin, all students get diplomas with the exception of Milwaukee County. They would then be eligible to apply for the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, just like any other traditional college degree-seeking student would. And then the funding sources that come through that for us are, one is the Pell Grant, which is a needs-based grant funding that does not need to pay back if they're eligible for it. It can range up to just over $6,000 a year for somebody that's fully eligible.
Okay.
If a student's over 24 and they're not working, they will also be eligible even if they're still dependent at home. So that's something I throw out all the time because we do get students who are older than that, which is another built-in scholarship for students that's 24 or older. The second piece of that is the FSEOG funding, which again it's a smaller amount that we receive that we can distribute to students, but I believe it's somewhere around $4,000 potentially per student, depending on what we get. Is eligible for it. Not all students. It's a limited number of students that can qualify for that. And then the traditional student and parent plus loans and federal work study. Federal work study is where you work for minimum wage, the federal minimum wage on campus in some kind of job. You earn that money and you can put it toward tuition and fees, or you can keep it to cover other costs associated with being here. The third piece, and again, this is Wisconsin, but it does apply for some other states too. The accreditation does make us eligible to receive funds from some departments of vocational rehab. And those are funding that's set aside for training in an occupational trade within a post-secondary accredited program. So in Wisconsin, we do have counties we're currently receiving that from. We also have multiple states that we're currently receiving that from. In Wisconsin, also, I would look into your Medicaid waiver funding, like family care or IRIS opportunities on your county and what options you want, managed or self-directed.
And now when talking to IRIS and the family plan, what did you find? Because I think that we chatted about that. They will cover some of the more room and board kind of percentage of payment for that, or? No,
it's typically related to the daily living skills training, supportive cares that students receive on campus. I believe would be the codes within which some of Wisconsin are receiving funds. Yes. Daily living skills or some of the direct supportive care that's provided through the residential living program. And I would, if you have questions regarding that, we would encourage you to reach out to us and we'd be happy to kind of talk through how that's worked so far for students from Wisconsin. But we do currently have students within both of those programs that are receiving funds to attend. And then there's another piece which is important as well, which is the Shepherd's Foundation Scholarship. And we work hard to raise scholarships for students who qualify based on financial need, be able to distribute to students to help them, once they line those pieces all together, then we try to help them with covering the rest of it if they're eligible and meet the financial need to receive those. But we've given out just over $3 million in scholarships since 2008, which is, within a relatively short period of time. So it is substantial. We've also been approved for Veterans Affairs VA funding sources. And the accreditation also makes us eligible for a lot of third-party scholarships. Sometimes they're disability specific. Sometimes they're just for post-secondary education in general. And then even 529 college saving plans. Now, a lot of our families never set aside a savings account because they'd never, anticipated there'd be an accredited college program that was eligible to receive them. But now that we're getting to interact with people who have sons or daughters in junior high or like freshmen in high school, that's a resource that they're able to start planning for in advance. So, there are other pieces that people pull together, but the ones I just went over with you are kind of the most common resources that families are able to use to pay for school.
And that's huge, because there is a big misconception that when we're looking at, sometimes parents just see that number and they don't realize all the different funding sources that can go under that. So like within anything with our young adults that we have, it's going to take some work and putting it all together, and probably consulting with any of those other services, you guys and your outside services, to see how much you can get and you're eligible for, and all of those things. But at least, it's available. And it's out there. I know we went through, I just want to make sure we went through everything. The processing, the housing, we went through the age group, we went through all the different funding sources. I know that we talked about all the different kids that they're from all over. So what did you say is the percentage of kids that are actually from Wisconsin?
About a third from year to year, about 3% or so. We've seen an increase in the last couple of years of Wisconsin and Northern Illinois students, just given the proximity to the school, Year to year, we've had between 18 and 20 states represented, depending on the year. So students are coming from a long ways away. I had a visitor last week from Alaska that came for the overnight visit. We had somebody come for a preview day from Hawaii, like 3 weeks.
Gosh, that's awesome.
I had to explain that the weather is typically a little nicer. It was one of those days we got the snow.
Yeah.
Even in what should have been early spring, but so I always encourage families, if they're from out of state and they're hearing this and thinking this sounds wonderful, but there's no way that they could ever do it, whether it's the parent or the student, I've got plenty of people I can put you in touch with who would be happy to talk through that with you. They had the exact experience when they began hearing about us as well. And yet they still moved forward to explore this possibility. And the stories that they'd be able to tell are pretty transformational and amazing. So don't allow that to keep you from at least exploring the possibility. And we'd be happy to talk through ways of doing that and put you in touch with many other families who have made the same journey.
That is wonderful. Now, the last thing, though, I was just thinking about is if someone is thinking right now, oh my gosh, my student is wrapping up and they're in that transitional year. So this coming school year, they will not have anywhere to go, and they're thinking Shepherd's College. Is there still the opportunity for them to get into school at Shepherd's to start that process? Or is this really looking at what would that be, the following, the 2021 school year?
Yeah. So we do still have time if they're willing and ready to act very quickly. And we can work with you. There's a couple different options for how you can go about completing the process. And I'd be happy to talk to families, on a one-on-one basis to do that. So yes, the door is still open, but they would need to respond very, very quickly and get in touch with me and plan accordingly. Given that they have to do the overnight visit and that they need to submit the full application. Another thing to just raise a little bit of awareness about is that we do have a preview day that's coming up on Friday, May 11th.
Okay.
Which preview days are about a 5-hour day where every department sets aside time for somebody to get a very in-depth experience on campus of our program. And so if there is interest in exploring, and seeing it firsthand, they can reach out to me as well to register for that day. We also have this program we run every summer called College for a Week.
Okay.
It's going to be Monday through Thursday. It's a 4-day college experience where all our faculty and staff are still here. They haven't quite yet gone on summer break. And we open up our dorms and our labs and our classrooms and create basically a 4-day introduction to what it might be like to be a Shepherd's College student. And then in the evening, we do a lot of recreational fun things similar to what students would expect from like a camp experience. But that would be a way as well to gain a more in-depth experience of what it's like to be a student here. Okay. And that's coming June 11th through the 14th.
Now for that, would they only do that if they were going to be starting this following school year, or if they're planning on starting the next school year, would they do this summer experience or would they not?
That's a great question. Yeah. So technically College for a Week is the first admissions for 2019.
Okay.
So we bring in a cohort every fall. So we'll have 2019 will be the next one. And it's the first admissions event. So a lot of the prospective students who will be attending are students looking to enroll in 2019 or later. We have that use it. They come multiple times. So they might be 18 and they might be deciding from year to year if they're going to remain enrolled in their transition program or if they're going to exit and then enroll in college. And we keep that door open for them to return multiple times. We also provide a report that's completed during their time here that gives them some very concrete ideas about maybe some goals that they can include in their IEP that would help prepare them for a program just like ours once they graduate and exit. So as long as they're 17 or older, and as long as they're going into their senior year or older, they're eligible to apply to attend for College for a Week.
For the College for a Week. And that is an overnight? Is that
Correct.
An overnight? Okay. Do parents have the opportunity that if they didn't want to do the overnight that they could pick up at the end of the day? Or is that kind of a case-by-case?
We would evaluate it on a case-by-case basis, yeah.
Okay. So the things coming up, there is a 5-hour day there coming up May 11th. And then there's also the summer camp coming up.
Correct. So the preview day is going to run 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. On Friday, May 11th. And then we have College for a Week, the 11th through the 14th of June. And then if there are families, especially those that are interested in getting the ball rolling for this fall, they can reach out to me immediately. I can provide tours pretty much between myself and some of my coworkers Mondays through Fridays, about 9 a.m. and 2 to 3 p.m. They generally last about an hour. And then we're always happy just to talk through questions they might have, regarding our program and their son or daughter's eligibility for it. So they can reach me directly if they want to pursue that opportunity.
Okay, that's wonderful. Are you able to either send me over the PDFs for that or drop them below this live for those two events that are coming up for the week camp as well as that Friday?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can drop them. I can drop both those files for College for a Week and for the preview day. Yes. Yeah,
that would be awesome so that I can get those out as well. So anything else, Brian, in closing? I think that we covered everything. We covered everything pretty well, and I'm just amazed. I'm so glad that I picked up the phone to call and find out more and to have those lengthy conversations and to be able to share this, even further with everyone, because we are limited in our resources, and to have something like this, especially if you live in Wisconsin, in your back door, it's pretty amazing. And for those others that our network and our audience here at the On Air Advocate is all over the United States. And as all of us know, there just isn't that many. I think when we talk about schools, there's, maybe 4, 5 in that same area. So it's not like there's a huge pool to dive into in different programming and stuff. So it's great.
Well, I want to share a couple of things just in closing. So one, please, if you have any interest in learning more, whether you are a professional, a parent, or just somebody who's just interested in seeing it, there's no way in words I can convey just how amazing of a place this is. So if you can come and do a tour with us, we love showing people around, and we believe that your experience will be very worthwhile and what you'll see and the students you interact with. So I would encourage anybody interested to come for a tour, even from out of state. We do have 4 hotel-style suites that we make available on campus, reserved on a first-come, first-served basis, but they're free of charge to families that do make the trip to come see us. So we would be happy to host you, if you're making a significant investment in traveling, for example, or so on. So if you can come to campus, we would love to show you around. There's a couple other things forthcoming that I want to make people aware of. One is our greenhouse, which is a part of our horticulture lab. Right now is open for sales to the public, and there are 2 times of the year that it is open. It's in the spring and in the fall. And I'll put something in the notes too below this that includes the dates and times. It's open on Fridays and Saturdays for about the next 5 weekends. Okay. But I'll have that information as well for anybody interested. So it's a way of engaging and overlapping with the community. People can come and buy their plants. Our students do sometimes point of sale, customer service, and then just share their information and knowledge about the plants that they're selling as well. So if you're looking to get some plants, this is a great opportunity. And then starting this June, Community State Bank, with whom we have a really strong partnership with here in Union Grove, is remodeling the lower level of their building on 45 and 11 right here in town. And they're installing a nice modern cafe in the lower level. They're having, it's a partnership between Shepherd's College and Community State Bank, and it's going to be called Shepherd's Community Cafe. And it's going to be by our staff and students. It's going to serve Stone Creek Coffee, which is a reputable Milwaukee.
Yes, I know Stone Creek Coffee. Yep.
And then in the future, they're looking to even, our students are going to be preparing some of the baked goods that will get made here and then delivered there on a daily basis. So it'll be run by our staff and students. Some of them will be employees. Some of them will be field experience, like interns of culinary students. But I think it's going to be a destination place as soon as it opens up. And anybody that's in this area, if you want to stop and get a cup of coffee and maybe a baked good, please do check it out.
My gosh, that is wonderful. That's wonderful. All right. Well, I'm excited about you dropping all these things below and families and stuff getting to check it out. I will also, in the top of this video and on our YouTube and our podcast, list all of your information, Brian, so people can reach out to you right away. As Brian said, if you are looking for this year coming, starting school year, please act soon. Quickly, fast. Yes. Take action. Don't wait. At least start the process. It doesn't mean everything has to be done, but at least get that process rolling. All right. Well, thank you so much for spending the half an hour with us this afternoon.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. Now go enjoy a few minutes of that sunny weather, because it's going to be cold again in a couple days.
Absolutely. You too. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much, Brian. As always, thank you all for watching the On Air Advocate. You can find all of our social media applications, our podcasts, YouTube tutorial videos, and more at www.onairadvocate.com. Thanks again, everybody, and God bless.